All right, next we're going to look at what's called rationalizing your denominator, which you did this in the previous section, but we have to deal with this one a little bit different way, and it's because we've got the subtraction here in our denominator. Same thing would be true if it were addition, okay? If I didn't have this, and I just had just this one term, then I would do it the same way as we did in section 6.2. All right, so as it states, it says when a denominator is a sum or a difference, you rationalize the denominator by multiplying numerator and denominator by the conjugate. Now, a conjugate is something we talked about earlier in chapter 4, and you want the conjugate of the denominator, which means all that you do is change the sign that's in the middle. So this would be 2 square root 3 plus 7. All right, so we're going to multiply these two fractions together. So across the top, this would be just the distributive property. So 6 times 2 square root 3 would be 12 square root 3. And then you would have 6 times 7, which is 42. Now, when you go to multiply your denominators, this is going to be the full method, just like what we did just a few minutes ago. So when I do 2 square root 3 times 2 square root 3, I want to have 4 square root 9. And then 2 square root 3 times 7, that would be 14 square root 3. And now I've got to do negative 7 times 2 square root 3. And last would be negative 7 times 7. Okay, now simplifying this. Okay, with 4 square root 9, of course square root 9 is the same thing as 3, so that would be 4 times 3. These two in the middle are going to add out. Okay, now on the bottom, let's just kind of do two things in our head, or do one thing in our head. This is the same thing as 12. So just do 12 minus 49. So that's going to end up giving you a negative 37. Oops. So this is your answer. All right, one more. Same thing with our rationalizing. We need to have the conjugate. So you always do the conjugate of the bottom. So this would make this 9 plus square root 2. So if this were addition to begin with, then you would be using subtraction over here. All right, so using your FOIL method, you'll have to do that on the top and the bottom, this time both. All right, so on the top, 2 times 9, and then 2 times square root 2. Okay, now take the square root 3 times 9, and square root 3 times square root 2. Okay, on the bottom, FOILing this out, so 9 times 9 is 81. 9 times square root 2. And now negative square root 2 times 9. And negative square root 2 times a positive square root 2 would be a negative square root 4. Now, there's nothing that you can do on the top as far as simplifying because the radicals that you have on each of these are different. So remember, what we learned was if they're different, you cannot combine them together, and there's not any simplifying you can do to those. Now, on the bottom, you can combine these two, but when you combine them, you're going to get 0. They're going to add out. So I've got 81 minus just 2, because square root of 4, remember, simplifies to be 2. So your answer, you still have all 4 terms on the top. And of course this then, just do your 81 minus your 2. So your denominator is just 79.